Here's why niching is bullshit. We touched on it in the last episode, and today I'm going to go deeper because it has really sparked up some conversations because it goes against what a lot of people tell you. However, there's a difference between people that are doing it and finding out for themselves that have tried niching versus the people that just talk theory about it and think it's good because it's been written in a book somewhere and they're going to copy it and repeat it back and try and get paid for it. Look, here's the reality. Coming from somebody who actually owns businesses in services, in manufacturing, in all certain areas, and has felt the impact of getting bad advice. So I'm Dr. Haydon, organisational psychologist, investor in businesses, and I own businesses. So I walk the talk, right? I do the stuff, yeah, and I find out what works and what doesn't, and I'll give it back to you on this boardroom table podcast so that you have the boardroom table around you in your pocket from mentors like me. And I also am the founder of mentalbusiness.com as well. So I see all the different backgrounds. I learn about the struggles different businesses have. And I give it all back to you on this podcast and more if you ever want to speak to me. So why is niching bullshit? In the last episode, I said this and I went into a little bit more detail about it. Okay. Now, the top people in marketing that I'm working with, and you'll know the names because they're good marketers and you've seen them and heard of them. They all agree, we have debates around this sort of stuff. And it's like, well, why are people saying this stuff? Because it sounds good. It sounds sexy, right? To niche down and you're going to do really well. Look, I get it. If you are the brain surgeon and you've got a brain problem, you don't want to go to a GP. You would need to go to somebody that's doing it. However, who got the inquiry in the first place? You went to a GP. Why? Because you didn't really know what was wrong with you until you was diagnosed that this was the issue. However, what I see is a lot of people that are in the management consultant industry, they will try and be the GP and the brain surgeon. And the way that I've structured mentalbusiness.com was to get around this frustration because I was pissed off. I was pissed off that somebody was advising me that wasn't actually doing it. Yeah. So for me, it's just like, here you go. Here's a lot of people that are coaches and mentors now and equipped with other coaches and mentors that can be specialized in this sort of area. However, what I'm saying here for you guys as business owners that are listening to this, should you niche down, you've already niched in what you're doing, right? If you're an accountant, it means you're not a business coach. If you are a operations director within a company, it means you're not the sales director. Okay, so you're already niched. You're already niched there. If you're a manufacturing company, you're not a service-based company, right? Now, are you though? So if you think about it, right, if that customer is approaching you, and here's why you don't niche, right? In today's world, if your marketing is attracting the customer and that customer has different problems, then that your duty there is to serve them with the solution to the problem using your product or service. If you have somebody else that can also solve that problem that you know of and that other person doesn't know of, then you can make it a win-win-win to then service them as well by not keeping it all to yourself and not making it about your ego, but you make it about the customer and the client. So, for example, I've got a manufacturing industry, and what we'll do is if we know that we've got a certain product for them and they need something else, we'll go, look, don't go looking around for anybody else. I will give you the trusted person that we would use if we have that with a customer or if we would do it personally. Would you be open to sitting down and us having a conversation? You've already got a trusted referral built in, right? If you look at BNI, it's all built on referrals as well because it's people that you trust. Now, the difference in today's world is that everybody's just trying to market and they all start to compete with each other and everyone just breaks down by slamming each other and all this. It doesn't work. What you need is a trusted ecosystem of advisors. So the reason I did mentalbusiness.com is because in my own companies, I found that I had trialed and tested a lot of these different people. Some of them were full of shit. Some of them were really good. And I've gone, okay, well, these are the people that I trust that are really good. I will now give them out to my clients. Okay. And that's not just in the business coaching. I'm referring to all my companies. Okay. So go back to the manufacturing company. It'd be the same again. If let's say we was manufacturing let's say, a certain widget, like a motor or something, and somebody made the wheels to a car, and we've done motor and wheels to a car, why would I let the customer go, hey, do you do the wheels as well? And they go, no. Well, that's it. You haven't helped the customer. The customer needs a car. Yeah. So you've got the motor. You've now been able to produce the wheels as well by giving them a referral to somebody else. And this is the point, isn't it? So let's go back to today. So why shouldn't you niche, Lewis? Because in today's world, you look at how that customer came to you in the first place. They've probably come to you through a referral already, or some of your marketing. Okay. I've had this conversation before about people hiring marketers, right? If you hire marketers and they think that their way of marketing is just to create social media posts and send out some emails, then good luck in 2026, right? Because your other competitors are getting better than this now. And the consumer is also becoming more savvy to it. You look at like marketing back in like 1990, 2000, why do people hate door knockers? Right? Because it became a thing that it doesn't work. Cold callers. Eventually, it's like, oh, cold caller, don't know about it. It's ingrained in someone's not personality, in someone's mind now that that's not a good thing. So we always need to be adapting marketing. It doesn't work by using strategies from 10 years ago. The strategy can work, but it needs to be adapted. Okay. So what that means is that the market and marketing is different, by the way. The amount of people that confuse this is crazy. The market, the people who have got the money to spend with you are becoming more savvy, and they're also becoming pissed off with the way that they're being marketed to. For instance, like when people used to do ads, there was a certain way of doing ads versus way to do ads now. And that's been a difference of like 18 months. Okay. We've noticed in our businesses, this works, this doesn't work. We will test and measure everything in all the different companies, in all the different industries that we're doing, and not to mention the clients as well, because I do business coaching, work with a lot of clients. We do the same, we test and measure in it, as long as at that level to really be at the marketing and market. See, there's no point turning the tap on with marketing if they've got a leaky bucket, yeah, and if their profits are pissing out everywhere. There's no point, okay? So different stages back on the previous podcast. That previous podcast, by the way, was a game changer podcast. Go and listen to it about how to make money in 2026. It spoke about the theory of constraints. We have to work through that, and that's why one fit model doesn't always, well, it doesn't work, right? You have to have something tailored to your company because everyone's in a different industry and everyone's different people, lots of different variables. Okay, so let's go back to the marketing side. Understanding that market and doing like certain ads that didn't work in today's world, that work in today's world that won't work anymore. They may have worked 3 years ago, 18 months ago. It's shifting because the market is becoming so savvy to it. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that we have to produce in your business somebody or a team of people that are savvy to this as well, that are always not just good social media posters, but they're good analysts. They're good at reading the data and reporting data. And if they don't like reporting numbers, if it's in my business, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like saying, that you're a salesperson that doesn't like to pick up the phone, or you're a janitor that doesn't like to hoover up or mop the floor. It's kind of expected in the job, right? But the reason this happens is a lot of business owners, SME owners I'm talking about, as long as someone seems to know a little bit more of them and they say, I've got a marketing degree, then they see it as that's a marketing person. Yeah. Now, I know what it takes in 2026 to market. Yeah. From services to manufacturing products, whatever. I know what it takes. And to be told by somebody who's maybe got an MBA or a master's or a bachelor's in marketing that this is what it takes and it's all theory, it's bollocks. Sorry, but unless they're prepared to learn and grow. Look, marketing and understanding the market is a learning and growing behavior. It's an attitude that needs to be within people, and that's what makes great marketers. As long as they're prepared to learn, grow, implement, read data, test it, trial it, have the confidence, go out there and do it. That's what it really takes. Now, why not niche then, right? So we've just explained about the market and the marketing. Why not niche? Well, as I said in the last video, If you've got an audience of 1 million, yeah, or 100,000, let's just stick to the number. If you've got an audience of 100,000 that you think that it could apply to, and you go, oh, okay, well, let's say out of that 100,000, we want to niche down to 10,000 of that. Okay. Well, it's 10,000 of that could be ready to buy, right? So if you divide that by 10 or 12, how many months are in the year, depending on what part of the year they're ready to buy, it means that they are the 1 month that you try something, 1 week for a lot of marketers and a lot of businesses, it means that they might not even see that thing. It might not be on their radar. It might get missed. They might not even understand. There's that many pieces of data. I mean, this is going into like psychology and NLP and things like right now. There's that much data that you're like pounded with every day. I mean, have you even noticed right now what the temperature is in the room? Have you even noticed how bright the lights are? Have you even noticed what color is behind me in this studio? Have you even noticed that I'm wearing a blue tie? Well, yeah, because I'm always wearing a blue tie because it's the personal brand that I bring across. Why? Because I'm the guy in the black suit and the blue tie with the white dots on it. I always wear this tie. Yeah, because it's then brings notice to that's the Lewis Haydon brand. Now you need to do the same thing within your company, because people don't spot you once and think, oh yeah, that's fucking brilliant. They don't get an email off you once and think that's amazing. They don't get an offer that finishes in 7 days and go, yeah, I'm going to do it. They need telling 5 times. But what stops it? Bullshit limiting beliefs. Oh, I don't want to be a pushy marketer. Let me tell you, right? You probably don't notice, but a lot of the companies that are marketing to you right now, your supermarket, your clothes store that you're working in, if you actually look at how many emails you're getting, on average, it is usually around 1 every 1 or 2 days. Yet most businesses are scared to send out 1 a month. It's bullshit. If you think having 1 marketing email a month is going to work in your company, even 1 a week, then don't do it at all, because you're wasting your time. Yeah. If you think that you can't segment that marketing within your CRM, then you're in trouble as well, because that's a big problem. So look, what are you probably told in universities, a marketer, the person that you're confiding in and thinking that they know it all if you pay them 30 to 50 grand a year? Yeah. Pound, by the way, dollars, what, $100,000 or whatever. You think that they're the expert in it, but is it really bringing the results in? Well, it doesn't matter, because the sales team are probably like backing it up. Yeah. Or you don't know whether it's working or not because you haven't got the data, because you're shit at it too. And you're paying a marketer to do it that doesn't really understand it either. Look, in a university, they would be taught, you've got to be careful about email marketing. You probably want to send once a month. Coming from who? Somebody who might have done it 10 years ago before they become a teacher. No disrespect to teachers, by the way. I think they're brilliant. I work with a lot of academics as well, but come on. I've worked with people that have gone from being a professor to a consultant back to a professor again because they couldn't get their marketing to work. They couldn't get any clients. Why? Because you don't know marketing. Yeah. Let me tell you right now as well, business coaches that want to be a business coach today, you're not going to be a business coach today. You're going to be a marketer. If you think that you can go into business coaching and be a business mentor and not be a marketer in today's world, then you're in the wrong game. And if you're not good at marketing, don't even bother spending your money on trying to do it. Yeah. Why? Why is this? Well, let's go back to the niching thing. Okay. We sidetracked off that. We side quested off that down this hole, but it's very relevant. Put that in the context of your industry. If you think that you can be a manufacturer today, a financial advisor today, if you think that you can do anything and not do it with marketing, and you want to achieve something that's better than having your 9 to 5 job working from somewhere else, then you've got to get real and understand marketing. Okay. And then you need to understand sales, and then you need to understand delivery. And then, well, you've actually got to ask the question to yourself, is everything you're prepared to do and put more work in for the next 5 to 10 years? Are you prepared to do it? Or would you be better off just having a 9 to 5 job? And I don't mean that in any other way, but a lot of people hold on to this ego, this dream of like, well, I want to be my own boss. What? So you can just wait until 10 years and then your kids are leaving home. So you can work 80 hours rather than 40 hours. Also, you can say that you're your own boss and get paid less, probably because you're not very good at marketing. got to get real here, guys. And this is what this podcast does. And I know you guys, the audience, my fans that listen to this right now, and the people that like and share it, you resonate with this stuff because it's how I talk. I'm a very straight talker with this stuff, and maybe I'm a bit of a shit marketer when it comes to this stuff because of the way I'm straightforward with you guys. But let's go back down to the to the niching. If you've got that 100,000, you've now gone to 10,000 because you've niched. Half, 1/10 of them is ready to buy today. So 1/10 of them are ready to buy today, and then they've got the problem. Okay, out of that 1/10 that you've marketed to for a week or a month, the likelihood of them ready to buy is not yet. The likelihood that they don't know or trust you yet is even more. So you've now gone from 10,000 down to 1,000 because they're not ready to buy. You've now gone down to 100 because they don't know you, and they've been bombarded with loads of celebrities. And like I said in the last podcast, people that are celebrities, then the way that they do something won't work for you because they've got their celebrity status behind them. So it doesn't matter if you see a fitness influencer that now has a business course. It's a lot different to me and you doing it that aren't influencers or don't have 1 million followers. They're relying on that. Okay. So a celebrity status, and that's again what I said in the last episode, was that this is why the movies industry bring in, they will pay 20 million, 30 million for a celebrity versus an actor that they could pay 100,000 for, because that brings an audience with them. Like I said about Johnny Depp, if you put Johnny Depp in a film, you bring Johnny Depp's audience to the movie. You made more sales. Okay. So go back to the numbers. You've now gone down to about 100 people. And then you've got variables of, does that person even like you? Because you can't get everyone to like you. Do you even resonate with them? A lot of people that would listen to these podcasts switch off, or watching on YouTube, they switch off after a couple of minutes because they might not like my accent, or they might not like my direct approach. They might need something a bit more fluffy. It makes them feel better. So again, your avatar then of what you're trying to appeal to may be a different avatar to who you can actually get. And then there's a niching problem, isn't there? But by niching straight away into going, well, I'm going to work with people that are just direct, and you think you're different. Let me tell you, starting mentorbusiness.com, I've seen on adverts all the time now on my social media, because it's what we do is we work with coaches and mentors and clients. I'm seeing so many coaching adverts come up. And I always thought my niche as a business coach, when I was business coaching all the time, I still do it now, but when I was just a business coach, not mentorbusiness.com, I thought, well, there's my certain niche. And then guess what? Owning a mentor business in company, I see them all and I go, hey, I'm just like that guy. Now, you don't want to try and be too different from it. Stick into it, but you don't. If you think you're niching, you're not. Someone else is doing it. Look how many people there are in the world doing this. You're not niching. All you're doing is segmenting yourself to not get found by the right people.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the show so far and you're getting a lot of value from it. Look, we do this for free because it's our vision to help more businesses and their teams scale and actually achieve what they went into business and their career for. So these raw boardroom style conversations deliver the real data on what works and what doesn't, saving you time, money, and most of all, making sure that you don't miss on these opportunities that could really help you scale. Sharing it with people you know really, really supports us on these podcast platforms so we can achieve our vision. So if you have a like-minded friend, colleague, or business owner that could get value from this, thank you for sharing it with them. You know who you are, and greatest respect for everybody that's doing that so far. And if you haven't, then please support us. Let's get back to the show.
So here's what you do, okay? Go broader, we go wider, and then we find out what works with what, okay? If you've got 100,000 people, making 1 million people, you can go into certain countries, certain things, okay? That resonates with different people. What we found before is if you don't show them the right currency in that country, then you lose people there as well, okay? So we've got to go into a larger audience. We've now got a larger audience. We now test and measure using the right marketing tools. We can test until we get to the right thing that resonates. This means running lots of different marketing, trialing lots of different stuff, not just going, let's niche for 3 months and see how it works. You've just wasted 3 months, right? Marketing is always test and measure, collecting data, going deeper. Okay, so that's what we need to be working on instead. This is why we need to go broad. Now, if you only did that with a 10,000 audience, that would be an issue. If you do it with 1 million, you're going to get some data. So what you're doing by actually niching is removing the data. Okay, you're lowering the ability to collect the data that you might need. You're doing it based on a whim of what you think is right versus what the actual market want. And you're not going to be a mind reader for this, no matter how much you think you know your industry. I've been there myself, guys. I've got a few clients like this. Let's just get that client profile and then go out to more people like that. Doesn't always work. Going and finding one client, there isn't enough data around it for that one outlier to actually run campaigns around it. So what we need to do is go broader, find out what it's resonating with when it comes to hundreds of people, thousands of impressions, tens of thousands of impressions, hundreds of likes. So, the likes and stuff doesn't really matter. And the comment, it's more to do with, did that person actually taking it up off your offer, or whatever you're doing. Again, this is why we need to go broader. This is why we don't niche until we start to find out what actually works and what resonates. Hope that makes sense to you. Okay. So where are you at right now? As this podcast left you a bit like, shit, someone was telling me this and it's probably a bit false. We got to ask yourself, have they done it? And something that I do when I meet a lot of coaches and mentors in my businesses, because I have met them across the last 20 years of running and owning businesses, is that people will always tell me about how successful they were. They'll tell me about like how they used to have $1 million business and all this stuff like that, or work with so-and-so. And I'm like, well, okay, don't tell me about how successful you were. Tell me about your success today and what you're doing today. Show me the success. Invite me along to some of your businesses. Invite me along to see what your team say about you. Let me sit with your directors. Let me sit with your MDs and your general managers. You want to be able to have that stuff. And then you need to be able to, what is that person's network like? Who can they put me in touch with if it comes to a problem? Do they know the solicitors? Do they know the financial advisors? Do they know the right accountants that work? Do they know where to get the grants from? Do they know when they have an operational capacity, who the best in the world is at that? Do they know when they need mindset help? Do they know when there's a psychological issue in the team, who do they go to? When they need confidence about public speaking, when they need sales training? You want for someone to be the generic person that is always about that is an issue. However, what you do want is you do need your advisor mentor, what we refer to as supervisor mentor, somebody who's going to hold your hand, that has done it, that can take you through. And when a certain specialized issue comes up, you go, well, there you go. That's where you need that person. Okay. Now, why am I saying that? Because something that will happen quite a lot is people will say to me, well, Lewis, if I niche, then I won't get that audience. I won't get that person come to me. It'll go too broad. No, you've got to get better at marketing. You've got to get better at understanding the problems of the things that are coming from the data and using that data to get more of the people. It's not about niching. It's about using what works to get you more leads, to get you more sales, to get you more wins, to get you more helping the right people. Okay. So let's say that you did open you opened up broad, and then you started to get leads. So I had this with a company the other day. We said, look, we're getting a lot of leads coming in thanks to some of the stuff that we're working on, and we haven't got the right product to sell to them. And it's like, because we've gone too broad, and now we've only got these certain things, so we're turning customers away, basically. Well, okay, if you go back to the theory of constraints from the previous episode, is it because you're turning people away because your product isn't right for them, or is it because you haven't got the right product range? Okay, big difference. So the constraint here is not to turn away and go, well, that doesn't work for us. It's to go, well, you've solved a big problem that a lot of businesses can't solve. A lot of SMEs have a marketing issue. They can't get leads. You've got the leads. But the problem is that you're keeping it to yourself now, and you're not prepared to it's not that they're not prepared, it's that they haven't thought about it, right? Because if you're in the four walls of your office all the time, you're not meeting other businesses that are actually doing it. I see this in the investor world quite a lot, is that there's investors and then there's the investors. And when you meet these, the bigger ones or the smaller ones, I meet smaller ones now that are coming into the game. I met someone the other day, and he said, Lewis, I want to know about it. I want to get started in it. I'm like, well, come along to me to some meetings because you'll start to see what we talk about. And then when I've been in rooms with bigger investors than me, I don't see myself as a big investor. I tend to invest in SMEs, and I like to be operational in them. I don't like to just see it as like a bank account where my money's put away and I'm like going, hey, I want to see my money return. I want to get involved with them. I want to be operational with people when I invest. But there's different strokes for different folks, right? Different investors. But you learn that from being in it and like being in the game with it. And it's the same of what we're talking about with marketing here, what we're talking about, coming up onto the mentalbusiness.com community and having those meetings, those live events with us. You just need to grab this information and be aware of it, because in the four walls of your office where you're turning up every day of the week, you don't learn and you don't grow when you're not exposed to it. I send my sales teams to sales training days, and some of them, you know what sales employees are like. They tend to have been in the game for a long time. They know it all already, and they go there and their arms are crossed and they're like, oh, there's nothing here to teach me. I don't care. You go there just to get exposed to external influences to teach you. You go on these webinars, not because they're gonna teach you how to sell, because there could just be one gold nugget or one connection that you meet that could expand your thought processes, your thinking, to open up to new ways of thinking that you then bring into my organizations. You get it? You see, an organization is like an organism. It needs to be growing and feeding. If you starve it by just keeping it in the four walls of your business, it doesn't grow, okay? So it's not just you as business owners. You need, as you scale, you need to be sending your people out to learn from other areas. Bit like sending out like different mouths to feed from different stuff, so you all learn together around your own boardroom table as your business grows. Now, back to the niching thing. Listening to this stuff about niching, you might have thought that, okay, someone's told you about niching down, it's the right thing to do. What I've done is exactly what I've said about that four-wall stuff and sending people out for learning, is I've now exposed you to different ways of understanding what niche is about and what marketing is about, based on the learnings that I've had from growing a 50 million portfolio of businesses. Now, the reason I say that is because why did you get into business for in the first place? Was it just to replace your job and get paid the same and see your family less? If it was about making big things happen, then you've got to be prepared, guys, that if you want anything to change, then that you need to change the behaviors that you do. Behavior, I mean like behaving badly. The stuff that you're doing, okay? So if you want to make 2026 the best year yet, and you've done the first week the same as you did in 2025, you're going to end up in 52 weeks having the same result. So start learning from outside the four walls. Start learning things about this marketing stuff. And then a big tip from me as well would also be to get your team involved, or get your friends involved if you haven't got a team yet. Because as you all start to move together, you'll all start to grow together as well. And remember, if you are at a place now that you have got a budgeting, a lot of people are doing budgeting for 2026, then you should be putting into that budget as well before the money disappears, before you pay yourself any dividends from it. Budget for growth. Budgeting stuff like understanding stuff like this in marketing. Be prepared that there is going to be an expense for it, because money and growth are correlated, okay? Growth costs money. If you think you can wing your way through this, and you may have done it for the last 5 years in business and got to where you are today, what got you here won't get you there. You need to reinvest. The money in a business is not the same as your bank account. It's an asset. It's tax deductible when you start to pay for training, when you start to pay for these sort of learnings, right? And the quality of the learning you will get, not just from the person you're spending the money with, by the way, or company you spend the money with, but the quality of learnings you will get personally about where to invest all starts with just spending something, yeah? Because I've spent hundreds of thousands in my companies on learning and development for all my team members now as well. In fact, we don't hire people if they haven't got a learning value in their personality, because it just won't fit, right? We need to be learning, we need to be growing. If we don't, the competitors will, and they'll overtake us. So we've got to be growing, we've got to be learning. And it all starts with a free podcast. It might start with someone's subscription plan, membership plan. And then it might start with working with, not a cheaper mentor, but a more affordable mentor. And then it just goes to as far as you want it, right? I mean, if you look at some of the people out there right now, the celebrity mentors, I don't particularly resonate with them because I think it's not the same getting on a private jet versus going home to your kids at 5 o'clock and, they don't really talk about family and stuff like that. And those are my values. Being on a podcast and going shipped around on a private jet to appear there and talk about ice baths and stuff doesn't particularly resonate with me. Or, maybe their success could have come from one business in a certain industry, and then they're trying to do a one model fits all and stuff like that. It doesn't resonate with me. I prefer to learn from people that are that little step further ahead of me, because they get it and they're affordable. Okay. So that's just my tip from it as well. But yeah, look, make 2026 the best. Start learning more stuff like this and challenging yourself on the beliefs that you've got around not just marketing, but sales, operations, finance, business, money, everything that can correlate towards your goals.